What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing a Godzilla discussion video. I know, you guys really want more Godzilla videos. I've been pressed for time recently. I've been trying to do this new horror movie thing, celebrating Halloween. But, you know, I've still got to do Godzilla videos, right? Also, Godzilla 154 pointed out that I need to change my name. I'm now Spider D-Man. Alright, let's talk about Godzilla anime. Mechagodzilla City is definitely one of the most hated Godzilla characters that has come out in decades. I can't think of another Godzilla character that has come out recently that has gotten as much hate as this character, Mechagodzilla City. Sure, Shin Godzilla was very divisive. Not a lot of people liked that movie. But that's not true. It was pretty 50-50. The Godzilla anime is no different. There's a large portion of people that hate it. There's a large portion of people that love it. I'm on the side that loves it, but I understand why people don't like him. But Mechagodzilla City is a big point of contention here, where a lot of fans got really hyped up for Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, thinking that it was going to be a Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla movie, and then they were incredibly disappointed when it wound up being nothing like that. One of the biggest problems people had with it was that the ad campaign pushed the idea that Mechagodzilla would be in the movie. More specifically, it was the toy line, not necessarily the ad campaign, but mostly the toy line that went out with the movie, pushed that Mechagodzilla would appear. Mechagodzilla did appear in the movie in the form of a city, and that is where a lot of people got very upset. So in this video, against majority opinion, which is that Mechagodzilla City is dumb, I will be telling you why Mechagodzilla City is the perfect antagonist in the Godzilla anime. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved to see a Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla fight just as much as the rest of you, but the thing is, that's not really what this anime is about. The Godzilla anime has proven itself to be less of a physical struggle and more of an ideological struggle. So let's jump into it. Mechagodzilla City is the perfect foil. And for those of you who don't know, and I expect a lot of you don't know because it's not very important in real life, in literature, a foil is a character that opposes another character, usually the protagonist. The foil may be the complete opposite of the protagonist, or very similar with one key difference. The foil character is used to highlight some particular quality or qualities of the main character. That all comes to us from literarydevices.com. Wikipedia also defines a foil as, in fiction, a foil is a character who contrasts with another character, usually the protagonist, to highlight particular qualities of the other character. So in order to figure out why Mechagodzilla City is the perfect foil, we first have to start with Godzilla Earth. Godzilla in the anime is truly the king of the monsters, the king of the earth. Throughout Godzilla Monster Planet and Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, we, the viewers, are consistently reminded that Earth has chosen Godzilla as its rightful ruler.
I surmise that the Earth has chosen as its lord of creation not humanity, but Godzilla itself.
We first learn that Earth has, rather than returning to its natural state without human intervention, radically changed into a bio-wasteland as a result of Godzilla's appearance on Earth. We also see that plant life on Earth has been altered, and now it shares DNA traits with Godzilla just so that it can survive in an environment where the king is roaming around. In addition to that, we also learn that the animals on the planet have all become subspecies of Godzilla due to his presence. The name Servum literally can be translated to slave, the slave to Godzilla. Also, we find out that human life had to adapt radically just to survive with Godzilla on Earth. Intelligent life, the Hautua, now share more traits with insects than man just so that they can survive. They have harder skin, they have some sort of particle that comes off of them, they also live underground. They also have some sort of telepathy, which I guess is kind of more like insects than humans, but whatever. Point is, Earth has picked a ruler. That ruler is not man. So bearing all that in mind, let's talk about Mechagodzilla City, the anti-Godzilla. Knowing that a foil is the exact opposite of another character used to highlight specific qualities of that other character, let's take a look at Mechagodzilla City. So now we're living in a world that's 20,000 years in the future where Godzilla has become the primary definition of life on a biological standpoint for Earth. This is where everyone's favorite incarnation of Mechagodzilla comes in. See, in this context, Godzilla is paradoxically life, where Mechagodzilla City is death. This is seemingly a paradox because Mechagodzilla City is supposed to be fighting for the side of human life and preservation, whereas Godzilla kills almost every species he comes in contact with. However, as we learn in the movie, Mechagodzilla City is certainly death. He absorbs everything around him, killing everything he comes in contact with. And see, Godzilla is a monster. There's no question about that. But he is a living creature at the end of the day. Mechagodzilla City is a monster. We learned that from Mephies.
I find it to be a sinister thing. In its very essence, it's a wicked thing. No different than a monster.
But he's a machine, with no emotion or care for anything. See, Godzilla Earth has care. He doesn't have much, he likes to kill people, sure, but at least he cares when his son Godzilla Phileas dies. Godzilla is the ruler of Earth, at least for the surface. He owns everything on the surface, all the biological material has adapted to be like him, and the entire atmosphere has changed for his benefit. Meanwhile, Mechagodzilla City is the king of what lies beneath the surface. Mechagodzilla City is a parasite. He's been absorbing land underneath Earth and spreading his influence over 20,000 years, into the point where he's spread larger than Godzilla Earth. Life has adapted with Godzilla, because Godzilla gave it that choice. Meanwhile, Mechagodzilla City consumes everything and ends all life that it comes in contact with so that it can become a part of Mechagodzilla City. Over 20,000 years, Godzilla Earth grew up towards the skies, I guess you could say towards the heavens, whereas Mechagodzilla City grew down into the earth, toward hell. I guess that's a good way to represent which side kind of is good and which side is evil. Godzilla is a representation of nature, whereas Mechagodzilla is a representation of technological advancement. This idea will be very important. As we've already talked about here, Godzilla Earth is literally Earth. Earth has turned into something that Godzilla Earth can recognize as himself. The atmosphere has become more like him, all the plant life, all the animal life has become more like him, meaning that Godzilla Earth is now the definition of nature. Mechagodzilla City, on the other hand, he is the pinnacle of technological advancement. He is by far the most advanced thing we have seen in the Godzilla anime universe. This includes all the Hautua, all the Bilisaludo, all the Exif, and all the human technology we've seen up to this point. The nanometal is just unprecedented. It's even viewed as a godly organism by the Bilisaludo. Now let's talk about the significance. This is important because it provides Godzilla with a foil on a level that he has never really faced up to this point in his entire franchise history. I mean, yeah, other Godzillas have fought Mechagodzilla before, sure. But in those cases, Mechagodzilla was always just a mirror image of Godzilla, which, sure, it is a foil for Godzilla, but it's always just been kind of the next step up. It's always what would Godzilla be like if he was a robot. Here, Mechagodzilla City and Godzilla are equals. It's very different than before. Mechagodzilla City isn't necessarily supposed to be the more advanced version of Godzilla, he is supposed to be an equal on an opposite level. Godzilla Earth and Mechagodzilla City are both unmatched in their destructive capability and potential.
At this rate, the city will not only consume Godzilla, but everything else as well. Its propagation will not stop until it has consumed the entire Earth.
Mechagodzilla City represents everything that Godzilla is not. They are two extremes on opposite ends of the spectrum. That's why it's perfect. It's because rather than having two Goliaths just duke it out in Godzilla City on the edge of battle, the movie opts to have an ideological battle between two extremes, nature and technology. The reason this is important is because it reflects on our main protagonist, Haruo. This all comes together through him. Haruo is the key factor in what happens next. He looks at the difference between the two forces, and a choice is made. Throughout the movie, Mechagodzilla City is viewed as the underdog in the fight, but that isn't the case. Godzilla was. Mechagodzilla City had every countermeasure in place to defeat Godzilla. The deciding factor in this battle was Haruo. If Haruo allowed himself and Yuko to be consumed by nanometal, Mechagodzilla City would have successfully killed Godzilla Earth. Mechagodzilla would have won. However, in a moment of distress, a choice was made. Haruo sides with life over technology. This completes his story arc set up in the last movie. Up to this point, all Haruo has cared about is killing Godzilla at all costs. He was willing to sacrifice his life to stop Godzilla once, and he should have been willing to do it again. The difference here was that he was given an alternative. Haruo saw that if Godzilla lost in this moment, Mechagodzilla City would have won. So rather than stopping Godzilla and fulfilling his destiny, Haruo decides to preserve life. He saves Yuko from the nanometal and saving her life. He saves Godzilla from death, saving his life. He chooses nature, life, over technology. Everything builds until he finally sacrifices Mechagodzilla City, allowing Godzilla to win, allowing the side of life to prevail. Keep in mind, this does not mean that Godzilla and Haruo are going to be best friends moving forward. What this does mean is that Haruo has finally accepted the truth and is now working towards a compromise. Earlier in Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, we learned that Godzilla is a product of technological advancement. Nuclear pollution of the Earth created the kaiju. In this moment, Haruo rejects technological advancement because he realizes it's capable of creating another monster that would be even more powerful than Godzilla. That's him finally accepting the truth. This leads us to the compromise. The compromise will come with Godzilla's death and the birth of a new era. If or when Haruo kills Godzilla, he will have rejected both extremes in the world. He will have rejected the ultimate incarnation of nature. He will have also rejected the ultimate incarnation of technological advancement. He will now be working towards a safe middle ground, much like what the Hautua have. When that is done, he will have become the king of the Earth. And by defeating the current god, I guess you could say, Haruo would become the god of the new world. But all of that is jeopardized now, because as we know, there is another king on his way. The king of the void, the king of gold, King Ghidorah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I wonder what extreme Ghidorah will represent here. Mechagodzilla City represents technological advancement and Godzilla represents nature. I wonder if Ghidorah is going to be some sort of middle ground. Probably not. He'll probably be like an even more extreme version of nature, or maybe he'll just be an abomination. Maybe he'll be some sort of third thing, creating a triangle. Ultimately, once the monsters are dead, once these three titans are dead, that is when the compromise will be achieved. That's when Haruo and them can work towards victory. I don't think it's any surprise that our characters up on the Arturum, I don't remember what the spaceship in space is called, but I don't think it's any surprise that this ship in space is going to blow up. Ghidorah is going to destroy it. And when that happens, it could be viewed as a loss for Haruo, because you will see the rest of humanity die with it, the rest of the Exif, the rest of the Bila Saludo, at least for the most part. Maybe there's a few survivors. But this won't necessarily be a loss, because this will be them moving on from the old ways. Everyone on Earth is fighting for the preservation of human life. They're not fighting for the preservation of technology. The Bila Saludo died doing that. They're not fighting for the preservation of nature, because Godzilla is nature and they're fighting against him. They'll be fighting for a middle ground, much like what the Hautua have, where the Hautua have technology. They have that advancement, but they don't let it rule their lives. What this is building towards is some sort of idealistic version of the world where technology doesn't create monsters. It's basically a world without nuclear energy, a world with pure energy, if that exists. A world where everyone can move together, move forward, and be happy. And there's no giant monsters to stop us. It's kind of the main theme of the Godzilla franchise as a whole, but I think Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle does such a good job representing that theme, with Godzilla and Mechagodzilla City representing these two different ideologies. Now, there are people who think that we should just go back to a natural way, no technology at all. But then there's also people who think, no, technology is the future. We have to work until we make our own oxygen, we build our own ozone layer, we do all this stuff for ourselves. This movie is suggesting that we shouldn't do either. We should be working for something in the middle. We should be working for a compromise. I think that's a good lesson to take away in life. That's one of the contributing factors to why I like this movie so much. I think if you give it some credit, it's not as bad as you may have thought, and yeah, like I said, it would have been cool to see Godzilla and Mechagodzilla fight, but ultimately, I think the battle between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla City was, although not necessarily the most action-packed and visually entertaining Godzilla fight, one of the coolest ideological struggles in the Godzilla franchise. Although that being said, I really want the next movie to start out with Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla. That'd just be a real cool way to start the next one. It's probably not going to happen, but we'll see. I guess we'll just have to wait. I mean, Godzilla the Planet Eater is coming up pretty soon here in Japan, and I'm sure it's going to get spoiled for us all in America, so I guess we'll find out what kind of compromise is reached and what Ghidorah represents in this new context. But as for now, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. There will be more Godzilla news and everything else to come. I'm not going to abandon that. Don't worry about it. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. D-Man, out.